Okay. All right, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Scho-Zone. This is your host, Ryan Schofield here, coming at you live from my, fair to middling apartment, little soon-to-be studio here in Albany, New York. Just want to get this one out there quick because I just bet it, and I really think I caught a mistake here, and I want everybody to jump on it as soon as they can, or at least I'm going to break down my reasoning for it, and then you guys tell me whether or not I've lost my mind or not. So let's just say that I don't do the normal things during the Super Bowl. Super Bowl is a different game. I have been for the past 13 or 14 years doing a bet where I bet the longest field goal of the game. I bet the under on it. This year, that's going to be at 47.5 on most books. If you want to go to Caesars Sportsbook, you can get it at 48.5 and pay the minus 135. I don't have all of the fresh data off of that. If you follow me on Facebook, I've been posting it for years. But I will just tell you that I've been doing that bet since I want to say whenever the Steelers and the Cardinals played in the Super Bowl, and I've only lost on it twice. And because the Super Bowl is just a different game. I mean, I know Harrison Butker is one of the guys that has beaten me in the past. It's just a weird matter of circumstances for a field goal of that distance to even be attempted in the Super Bowl. Just take my word for it. Anyways, while I was scouring around looking through, and I just kind of was just browsing this, looking at the different books and seeing if there was any unique props or any just things that seemed like they were off on the pricing or anything, prices that stood out. Sometimes this led me into me making a bet that I liked it. Sometimes it talked me off of something I didn't. Like, for example, when I was looking at the idea of betting the opening kickoff to be a touchback, I noticed that Bally's bets was incredibly low on the yes on that one. Doing a deeper dive, and I just saw Barstool posted this stat, which means nothing to me, that no on touchbacks in the Super Bowl is 26-4 in the last 30 Super Bowls. I would ask you, how many of them have they been kicking off from the 35-yard line, not the 30, or whatever yard line? They moved it up. There's more touchbacks. Breaking down that bet, if you really wanted to, I'd say it's simply this: is that if the Chiefs are going to kick off, yes on a touchback is a good bet. If the Niners are going to kick off, no on a touchback is a good bet. But there's no way of knowing that unless you're one of those people that's going to bet the coin toss, because I've never understood that. Mini rant here. What the fuck do you get out of betting the coin toss? It's just, you just need attention at the parties. What I'm looking at it is that there are so many things to gamble on. And just as a matter of that, like, you're going to pay a bookie tax, a VIG on a coin flip. Find somebody at the fucking party if you got that much of a problem, right? Or fucking just, I don't know. It's just, you're not cool if you bet the coin toss. Just leave it at that. But you are not saying you're cool if you're going to do what I'm doing. But what I am going to do is this next bet. I should probably keep my company logo out of there. Anyways, I discovered on a certain book the longest punt return of the game, and the total on that is set at 17.5 yards. There is a little bit of a wrinkle on this one since I first started looking and since I bet it, but let's just say here's the data we have. I don't know, that's the kickoff one that I was doing. For starters, the longest return, right now we're looking at the return guys on both units. It's looking like it's going to be Richie James on the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be Ray McLeod on the 49ers, which there is the one wrinkle, though, is that Kadarius Toney did start practicing. I have a hard time believing that they're going to just take this guy who's got everything he's got going on and put him into a big impact spot of the game like punt return. Again, as I say that, he did have a very long punt return in the Super Bowl last year, which, did help Patrick Mahomes win the Super Bowl, despite what people might think. But let's not go down that road. So here's what we have. We have that. Let's look at the punters right now. We have on the Chiefs, Tommy Townsend, or whatever the hell his name is. He's had one of the easiest jobs in sports for the past couple of years and has got a couple Super Bowl rings. That's one thing for starters, too. How many punts do you think are going to be in a game with Patrick Mahomes in it? Well, in the last game, there was 5 on his side in the second half. But anyways, Tommy Townsend has 59 punts this year. 5 of them went for touchbacks. Of those other 54 punts, They allowed the Chiefs a total of 207 return yards, just an average of 3.83 yards, which now we're looking on the other side of this. You have one of the worst return units in the league. The 49ers, they had, what was it right here? Ray McLeod's longest return of the season was 19 yards. They ranked 24th in the league, was with 8 yards on actual return. So understand this one. You're going to think, wow, they average 8 yards a return. The other guys is averaging 3.83 per return. That 3.83 is on the fair catches because the kicks have been covered, which that's another part of this bet that I like too. Let's move over onto the 49ers punter side of this one. We have whatever this Wischtowski's guy's name is. He has 52 punts on the year, 2 of them for touchbacks. Of those 50 punts, he's given up a net of 220 yards, 4.4 yards. The Chiefs have a 16th ranked punt return unit. It ranks just barely below average, 9.3 yards per return. The league average was 9.6. I will say that they did have a long return this year from Nicole Hardman. He did have a return of 50 yards. I don't think that they're letting him touch the ball anymore, so I'm going to rule that one out of there. So Richie James is going to be your returner on that side. He did have a return of 27 yards. I believe he had one of 21 yards. Other than that, he averages under 10 yards per return. So let's go a little bit more into this, is that think of your average punt return these days. It's if you're going to get a long punt return, it probably happened because you punted from inside your own 35-yard line. And that's not going to, I don't see that these aren't 3-and-out type teams to me. Again, there is the possibility that Brock Purdy lays a turd, but who knows there. But where I feel very, very especially vindicated that this bet is good. So under 17.5, the book that I have it on is DraftKings. It's got minus 110 juice. Why I think this is a mistake, I looked around at all the other books that are offering props. Most of them did not have anything like this. When I went on to Caesars, they have props, and they have it where you can bet the average, or what's not the average? You can bet the longest return by a Chiefs returner will be 9.5 yards. The longest return by a 49ers returner, 8.5 yards. So you can get really creative if you want to and do a little bit of middling action and bet over there. But what point is that if one book is saying that one team is going to be lucky to get a 10-yard return, the other one's going to be lucky to get a 9-yard return, and another booker is all saying that we don't think that anyone's going to, or they're going to say there's 18 yards available there, I think they made a mistake, because what is 8.5 plus 9.5? It's 18 yards. And what is the over under that they're offering on DraftKings? 17.5. So I don't want to tell you how much money I just put on that this morning, but now that I put that much money on it, I can now say, hey guys, have at it. And you know what? That's probably going to be one of the only bets I make during the Super Bowl. I'm going to do that one. I'm going to do my field goal bet, because at the end of the day, you know what I get to do when I'm watching the Super Bowl? I get to say, what if all I'm rooting for is no long punt returns, that means that every time Mahomes has the ball, throw a fucking first down to Kelsey if you want to. And if he gets sacked and stripped, that's good too. I get to root for offense and turnovers. It's a great, wonderful experience. Go team, go have a good game. I mean, another bet I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make it where I think that this game is going to be decided by less than a touchdown either way. It's one of my favorite things. Everyone, who's going to win the game? Who's going to win the game? There used to be a little bit of, I guess, when was the only way we could gamble was when picking before the game. There was something to that. I get nothing out of picking a game before it starts now. Just as soon as it's on, I get something to see. Like, the way I compare in-game betting is this. And I've only had half a cup of coffee right now, but I'm getting excited talking about something I like to talk about. In-game wagering to me is this. I deal you 2 cards in blackjack, but you didn't bet yet. You decide whether you want to bet those 2 cards or not. That's the way I look at in-game betting. I just have a couple generic Super Bowl props that I do year to year because they seem to work. And here's what happens. I've heard this a couple of years ago from a sportsbook director, that they're a little lazy on the Super Bowl sometimes. They'll just look at, hey, what number did we use last year? Did we win on it? Well, that's why I look to bet unders on things, because most people like to bet overs. So if everybody has gotten – unless the books got killed on it, they don't adjust the number. That's why I've made that field goal bet, and I've only lost twice in 14 years or whatever it is on there. I think I'm going to be okay on this one, because somebody said, oh, how did you find this one? Who the fuck looks through the unders on the punt return props and then studies it for an hour? I'm not speaking highly of myself. I'm just saying this is why I think I found an edge there. Everyone else is looking at other shit right now. So I am all full board on that one. And if you need a DraftKings referral code, please let me know. You can reach out to me. I do have an email for this now, the Scho-Zone podcast at gmail.com. I mean, I've always had it. I've just never given it out. Or you can follow me on Twitter or X, whatever the fuck it is, at SCHO525 or SCO525. But yeah, I think I got a solid one for you because that's the other thing too. Last year, that bet did hit. So what happens is that they do overreact a little bit. They do raise the number slightly. So yeah, I think that I got myself a good one there. Another bet that I've been looking at doing, or one that I eyed out, unique offerings on different sites. I saw that usually the first quarter is a slow game. The Super Bowl is kind of like a title fight. If you ever watch the first round of a big fight, unless Hearns Hagler, you're gonna see the guys kind of feeling each other out, little this, little that. So if you get 2, 3 and outs, it's not the craziest thing. But there's a bet. I'm not saying 3 and outs, but no scoring. There's a bet that takes place. It's on Caesars right now. You can get it at minus 135. Let's see. Oh no, this is on Rivers, and that's the first score will be at under 8:59 of the first quarter, and that is minus 127. I like that. There's not a lot of sexiness in what I do. I'm not gonna be doing a lot of prop based. They're like plus money type deals. They're just going to be hard to hit. I think this is going to be too. I mean, there's no value on anything with Christian McCaffrey at this point. It's a couple years ago, I had a really good Super Bowl on this because the sports books had just became legal and they hadn't quite figured out how to calculate their same game parlays to where they can basically commit highway robbery on us right now. But for my field goal prop, like I said, if you're looking for the best book to bet it on right now, if you like 47.5 on FanDuel, it's minus 112. At Caesars, it was actually minus 140. So you can decide what you want to do there. Yeah, that's what I had. I just really wanted to get that one bet out there because I don't know if I've made 2 large wagers on that in the past 2 days, and then I've told a couple of other people and they were to start betting it. I don't know if this is something that raises attention, but I want your feedback on my explanation for that bet. Does under 17 and a half yards on the long punt return seem like a crazy bet, provided that there is another book that is offering each team as either 9.5 or 8.5 yards for their longest punt return? Like I said, you just got to find a little glitch in the matrix there. But I got to finish my coffee, my little morning routine here. But I figured since I'm trying to actually get something going of this channel, I would post something. So yeah, have at it. And let's see. The biggest smile I could get out of this would be seeing that line drop down and feeling like that I'm responsible for it. But everybody, thank you for tuning into the Scho-Zone. I will be back some other time. I will discuss the quarterback legacies. Just really don't know when I'm going to get around to it. I've got a weird work schedule and I'm actually trying to do stuff outside of sitting in my apartment. So everybody take it easy. Have a nice day.